my thoughts on NSUNS 4 and the series in general. Sup, it's Sora and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to take a deep dive into Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 and its combat mechanics. If you enjoy gaming content and game analysis, I'm your guy. Subscribe to my channel to help me reach my goal of 500 subscribers. Now let's get into this video. The game is fun. As an avid Naruto fan, Naruto is legit my favorite anime and in my opinion, probably the best, and while I know that this is not objectively true and the series faces its own issues and flaws, this is my channel and I'm entitled to my opinion. Moving forward, this game is hella satisfying. There's something so mouth-watering about playing as your favorite ninja and actually getting to throw down with the likes of Madara and whatnot. They didn't hold back with the visuals and cutscenes either, especially in the later games in the series, and some fights just make me feel so cool and invulnerable, like a ninja myself. Years after the game has all but completely died out, I still play a few rounds every day. But that's kind of the biggest issue with this game at this point. It gets really boring, really fast. The entirety of this game's combat revolves around a rushdown playstyle. The game is set up in a way where more often than not, the best way to do damage is to pressure your opponent into using all of their substitution gauge and then comboing them for as long as you possibly can. And that's pretty much it. That's the only relevant playstyle. And while there are unique characters like Deidara who spams ranged attacks or Sasori who fights with a puppet, these playstyles aren't as systematically supported as the rushdown playstyle. When it comes to zoners like Deidara, Tenten, Temari, Utakata, Shino and so on, they specialize at fighting from a distance and pressuring their enemies from afar. The only issue is they do this through throwing ninja tools, and chakra dashing makes you immune to ninja tools. And guess what single game mechanic is the most supportive of the rushdown playstyle? The chakra dash. So using ranged characters is more of a hindrance than a help since you forego all combo abilities for ranged pressure that gets shut down with a single dash. The only time this playstyle actually has the advantage is against an opponent with no chakra or substitution, but in most cases the best way to take advantage of this is with rushdown since you can't combo the way you can with melee fighters with ranged ones. So once again, this entire archetype of fighting has no relevance in the game meta and is far too situational to be reliable. When it comes to puppet masters, they have it even worse than zoners. They are in essence a mixture of the former playstyles mentioned, rushdown and zoning. While they themselves rest at a safe distance, their puppet does all the rushing down and comboing, which sounds pretty OP in theory, but in practice it's actually the least effective way to fight in this game. Their puppets are so fragile that a single kunai puts them out of commission for a few seconds. Anything that hits the puppet, no matter how big or small, will knock it down and render it useless for a bit. And imagine being a puppet master with a broken puppet in a rushdown game. Not to mention, chakra dashing also knocks down puppets, so when rushdown characters actually rush at you the way they're intended to, they just break your puppet. Now since the puppets can actually rush at enemies and initiate combos and whatnot, it actually has the potential to go toe-to-toe with rushdown characters even better than zoning can, but the risk of anything, and I mean anything at all, hitting your puppet and taking away your ability to fight altogether often is too high a price to pay, especially when the most meta playstyle is a direct contradiction of your own. This is what makes NSUNS as a series so boring. The combat is so one-note and monotonous that it gets old really fast. It's not like Mortal Kombat, for example, where different playstyles change the experience and pacing of a fight, forcing you to make critical decisions and whatnot. Or even a better case like Shinobi Striker, where the combat system's core lies within the 4 different playstyles available. NSUNS has none of this. The meta strategy is simply beat it till it dies, which gets stale quickly in the way they do it. You see, I feel like the game being centered around rushdown isn't specifically where they went wrong. It's more so how they went about it. Take a characters like Kabuto, whose canon abilities screw with his enemy's nervous system and coordination. It would make the game not only more immersive but more fun and engaging if his chakra scalpel did just that. Or if the gentle fist sealed or drained the chakra gauge. If medics could actually restore health. If poison was actually a threat, and so on. There are so many layers to the abilities these characters have, and they're damn near stripped to hand-to-hand combat with no flavor to keep it interesting and exciting outside of ninjutsu and ultimate jutsu. I want to take the time to make an interesting comparison to explain why this combat system doesn't work. Each character in this game is more or less restricted in moveset to 3 core moves, combo attacks, via puppets, projectiles, weapons, etc. Ninjutsu and an ultimate jutsu. This is true for every single character in the game, and this isn't a bad thing in nature. As I stated before, it's the lack of complexity. Take another game I play regularly, Genshin Impact. In this game, each unit has 3 core talents. Normal attacks. These are just basic attacks done through short combos. An element skill. Think of this as Genshin's version of ninjutsu. And an elemental burst. Think of this as Genshin's version of an ultimate ninjutsu. While in essence, the foundations between the character movesets of both games are very similar, however, Genshin takes it a step further by virtue of adding complex elemental interactions and unique abilities into the mix. This makes each character truly feel unique in what they do simply because there's more complexity in what they do in conjunction with other units with their own unique abilities. Mix and match these unique units with unique abilities and you get a combat system that keeps things fresh simply by virtue of how you mix and match the units on your team. NSUNS doesn't have this added layer of complexity. There are no elemental reactions, and aside from the occasional poisoning or slowing effect some characters have access to, there is no complexity in what each ninja can do. Playing Neji doesn't feel that much different from playing Naruto despite the two canonically having vastly different fighting styles. And when each character starts to feel more or less like a slightly different version of another, the fun of it all dies quickly. Changes I'd make: if the game devs handed over full creative control to me with the plan being to revamp and revive the game, I'd make quite a few changes, but before we get into that, comment down below what changes you feel would make the game better, combat-wise. Zoning. Chakra dashes can now only take 5 hits from ninja tools before being cancelled and caught in the chain of projectiles. This allows ranged users more pressure from their attacks and rewards them for keeping their distance. See if I'm on the other side of the map spamming projectiles and you dash at me. Considering the distance between us and me currently throwing stuff, you'd get shut down pretty quickly. This rewards zoners for zoning while forcing people to actually think and carefully execute their approach. Puppet Masters. Puppets now have their own HP. Puppets can now take as many hits as their health will allow before breaking, being unusable for the rest of the fight. This will allow puppets to take damage for their users as puppets canonically do in the series, while forcing puppet users to carefully manage their puppet's health, since the loss of a puppet means the potential loss of the fight. Puppets no longer fall down from attacks that normally wouldn't knock another ninja down but instead take hits done like any other ninja. When a puppet breaks due to a complete loss of HP, the puppet user's moveset is switched to resemble that of a zoner's melee combo. Short and sweet. This allows puppet users to have some form of offensive capabilities after the loss of their puppet while also punishing them for losing said puppet. Other changes: poison now actually poisons enemies in the effect stack. Rather than tickling a health bar for a few seconds, it will slowly and continuously drain HP until the victim either dies or takes an antidote. The more the victim is poisoned, the faster the effects ravage the enemy's health. Many canonical abilities are now implemented, such as the examples I used earlier with Kabuto and Neji. I'm not gonna go through every character for this video, maybe in another one if people want it, but overall I'd add the canonical effects of various attacks to the game. Healing is now implemented. Characters like Tsunade and Sakura no longer help you charge your chakra faster but slowly heal you while you do when they're on your team. Ultimate Ninjutsu now knocks enemies out for the rest of the round. It becomes an instant KO in single match. Just looking at some of the cutscenes, these ninjas shouldn't just roll to their feet after getting hit with Night Guy or something, so ultimates are an instant KO in single match and permanently knock out teammates in team fights. Anyways, those were just a few ideas I had on how the game could be freshened up and given some new complexity. And that concludes this analysis. I hope you enjoyed it. I really love doing stuff like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to support me and my channel. Comment down below anything that you'd like. The comment section is yours, and I'll see you all in the next video.